Hello, and welcome to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast with astrologer Shelley Overton.
Hi, and welcome to the November 11th, 2022 edition of the AstroEnergy Astrology podcast with me, Shelley Overton. We're going to go over what's happening for the week and talk a little bit about the ingress of Venus into Sagittarius and Mercury into Sagittarius. Today, Friday, we have a moon entering Cancer. So we're wrapping up the energy of the moon in Gemini. And as I'm recording this, moon is right on Mars in Gemini, and I had to start over. So not surprising. If you've been feeling the Gemini energy, doing two of everything, it's getting a little tedious, but we'll knock a little wood and hope it goes better for the rest of the time there, which honestly is all the way into the next year. So it's going to be a long time. Anyway, as you can see here, we have Saturn in Aquarius and Jupiter, Neptune coming up on each other in Pisces. We have North Node and Uranus in Taurus, Mars, Moon, Gemini, which will be going through Cancer, Leo, Virgo, and a little bit of Libra by the end of this week. And then we have the stellium in Scorpio at the top, with finishing it off Pluto in Capricorn. So what does all that mean? Let's just dissect it, shall we? We've got the sun in Scorpio at 19 degrees, Mercury at 21, and Venus at 24. So they are still rather clustered. They're still really showing us an area of our lives where we have to commit to our desires, where we have to commit what we're thinking about and what we connect to as a sense of self, which is the ego identity or the sun. The sun shines the light on the energy. Of course, Scorpio, as I've said, is the underworld. It is the hidden. It is where we don't particularly feel comfortable being out in the open. One of the things that Scorpio is known for is secrets. But the reason that Scorpio is very covert is because they feel exposed when they are in the spotlight. And of course, the sun does tend to shine the spotlight, and an eclipse energy will also really lend itself to shining energy and information on whatever sign the sun and the moon are in. In this case, it was Scorpio and Taurus. So Taurus was where the moon was, Scorpio is where the sun is. And so we are kind of dealing with the fallout of the election here in America. I'm dealing with, and everyone else in Florida is dealing with the fallout of the hurricane that just whipped through here this week. And just in case you're wondering, it hasn't been too bad. A lot of twigs and tree branches, things like that on the ground. There was some flooding, but over on the coastlines, they got it worst because they had the storm surge, which is all the water coming in, eating away at the coastline. And there were quite a few homes and buildings that got taken out because of the storm surge. So that was really, really sad to see on Instagram. I saw a lot of videos of the destruction along the coast. So they've already, of course, been dealing with Hurricane Ian. And now the opposite coast, because Hurricane Ian came ashore on the west coast of Florida. This one came ashore on the east coast. And someone on Instagram even posted that in 2004, I believe, there were crisscrossing paths across the state of Florida with two hurricanes that were a month apart. Same thing that we just had with Ian and Nicole, but I think it was Charlie that did the same thing that these two did. So maybe I should look that up. Let's see if I can look that up real quick here. So I pulled up the chart. It was for August 13th, 2004 was the first one. And apparently there were 6 of them. And I've forgotten how many, but they were Bonnie, Charlie, Francis, Ivan, and Jean. Bonnie, Charlie, Francis, Ivan, and Jean. So at least 5, back-to-back, 5 hurricanes. So I remember that. That was a year after we moved here. We had all of them the year after we moved here. So if you look at this particular chart here, you'll see Neptune in Aquarius opposite Sun in Leo. Of course, Aquarius rules storms. And Neptune, there was Uranus in the Neptune energy, Pisces energy. So we had storms, which is ruled by Uranus, and that's in Pisces. And we had Neptune, which rules water and oceans, and that's in Aquarius. Uranus's sign. So, it was kind of primed for that energy. We had Mars opposite Uranus in Virgo, and Virgo is ruled by Mercury, which is a similar energy to Uranus. So it was electrical and lightning, and Virgo's an earth energy. So anytime there's water, air, and earth in conflict, which in this case it was opposites, especially the major planets, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, Jupiter, Saturn, you're going to see friction in the atmosphere. And in this case, this is, again, the hurricane season for 2004, opposition of Mercury to Uranus. Jupiter was in Virgo, which is Earth. So I wouldn't necessarily say, oh, Jupiter and Virgo. More likely, Earth energy with Jupiter would be something along the lines of earthquakes. But you've got the water with Saturn in Cancer, Venus in Cancer, and the moon in Cancer opposite Capricorn. So there was an earth energy, but there was also a wounding with what the moon did. So I don't know, it was approaching a new moon. And so actually it probably could have been even worse because the moon was moving towards the sun. If it were opposite, it would have been a full moon is much more water damage. Now, that being said, 5 hurricanes, that's a lot. So there probably was many, many millions of dollars of damage that time. But yeah, if you're looking at hurricanes, you're looking at kind of, pardon the pun, but a perfect storm of electrical energy and water energy in a chart. And in this case, you've got Neptune opposite the sun, and you have Mercury and Mars opposite Uranus in Pisces. So of course you're going to have some kind of energy coming through with that. And I don't know if Mercury was retrograding at that time, but that would definitely add to the energy. If it were retrograde and then move forward, we can find that out. I'll just go look that up too. So looking at the ephemeris for the events in 2004, what I see is really the trigger would have been Venus moving into Cancer, which is a water energy, and then Mercury retrograding on the 10th in Virgo. And of course, that was opposite Uranus. And the first hurricane hit August 13th. So definitely Mercury retrograding in Virgo opposing Uranus is going to have an effect. And of course, Mercury is retrograde for 3 weeks. Then it goes direct. And it actually made its way back into Leo. Maybe there was a break at that time. And then it went direct and right back into Virgo in September. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, that was the year that there was a hurricane on my dad's birthday, which was the 14th of August, and my birthday, which was the 10th of September. And that would make sense with that Mercury retrograding and direct over the course of that month. So, if you're looking at hurricane triggers and stuff like that, an opposition of Mercury to Uranus involving earth and water would be a good place to start, honestly. Mercury in Scorpio opposite Uranus and Taurus this week, and there's the earth and the water, and then the opposition of Mercury to Uranus once again. And then you've got Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces. Jupiter was retrograded, was expansive, and interestingly, Jupiter retrograde in Pisces in degrees is opposite the Jupiter in Virgo of 2004. So it's like bookend events of duality with hurricanes happening. And the reason I bring that particular event up is because the hurricanes followed almost the exact same path over Florida, which was like this, through the state of Florida. They were almost the exact same trajectory through the middle, which I find really interesting. And then we also, Orlando is a Scorpio city. It has a Scorpio rising. Without getting into Orlando's chart this week, we definitely get our share of hurricanes crisscrossing the state through here. Fortunately, they are rather weakened because we're in the middle of the state. So it gives it a good 50 miles to lose power and lose momentum across the state. So if there is any place in the state that would be safer, it would be in the middle. And anyway, so I found it really interesting that there was a Uranus Mercury opposition, and Jupiter in late degrees of the sign Mercury was in. And then in the current status for this last hurricane, Jupiter was retrograde in a water sign. And there was also a connection to a Jupiter transit, which can expand because Jupiter near Neptune will bring more water. And of course, the water flooding and water damage is a huge part of this hurricane. I wasn't necessarily planning on going over the hurricane, but we're going to just leave that in there for now. And, I don't know if you've been able to kind of get over what's been going on in your own chart with the lunar eclipse, but it has been pretty intense, very emotional still, because the planets are still kind of clustered together. They will not be gone, like I said at the beginning, until Venus and Mercury move into Sagittarius this coming week. But we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on Friday. But, most of you don't see the video on Friday on the day. So it almost becomes a moot point. And really, that's probably why I overlap Fridays from video to video. But the moon enters Cancer, which will be with us over the weekend. And so that happens at 7:22 p.m. Eastern and 4:22 p.m. Pacific. And I just found out this past couple of days with the time change that England is 5 hours ahead of us. So it's noon, 12:22, actually the next morning. So on the 12th, the moon will go into Cancer in England just after midnight. Okay, so what does that mean? Moon in Cancer is going to be energy of home and family. We're going to be focused more on what's going on with our family. Looking for security and validation from a mother figure, wanting to put our energy into the home, secluding ourselves, going deep into the cocoon, trying not to be out in the public eye. Cancerians do not like attention. They really like to kind of pull back energy. I'm sorry, my hair every week, I know. And so we're going to really feel that energy coming in. And it's going to, for a couple days that moon's in Cancer, be triggering to the Sun, Venus, and Mercury at end degrees. So it will be more on Monday morning, actually Monday at 7:48 a.m. is when the moon goes into Leo. And so overnight from the 13th on Sunday to the 14th on Monday is going to be the energy of Cancer hitting the Scorpio planet. So very emotional, very connected to what's going on around the home, but also the commitment we have to a partner, whether or not we're sticking with that partner, because the lunar eclipse absolutely has been triggering what we're going to do in a scenario involving home and family, career, self, togetherness. Is it me? Is it you? Is it us? What is the scenario around that? And end degrees of Scorpio, which is Venus and Mercury, are going to be having us really think through the process of a strong potential ending, because the Sun is in late degree, just about to enter the last 10 degrees or decant of Scorpio. That would be the Cancer area. And so we're going to feel that coming up next week as well. And then Venus and Mercury are already there at like I said, 24 Venus and 21 Mercury. And they are wrapping up the last 10 degrees, which is the Cancer area of Scorpio. And so it is an ending. It is the final storyline of that particular energy, Scorpio commitment. And then there's a trine to Jupiter and Neptune, again, in end degrees, both retrograde. So they're going back over something that we need to really look at and decide whether or not it's valuable to us anymore, or if the story has made its culmination and is over. And Jupiter is a transitionary planet. So I definitely see the Jupiter retrograde transit in end degrees of Pisces as really a last gasp from an old story. Wherever that falls in your chart, it really is saying this is a story that's had its day, and we are really having to come to terms with that. And then Neptune retrograde is the sentimentality or the emotionalism of that event. And so we're really still feeling the strong lunar eclipse energy going on as we move forward, especially with the moon going through the water energy this weekend. It's really going to bring up a lot of those issues around home and family. So the moon moving into Leo on Monday is going to bring that focus onto children, gambling, risk-taking, connectedness to another person. It could be going for fun, having fun, doing some play work. The fire signs of the zodiac are very much about playfulness and activity. It can be athleticism, gambling on sports, things like that. It is leadership. It is connecting to friendships. And yeah, so we're going to have that on Monday. But over the weekend, I've got floods. This is what I wrote, floods. Emo for Saturday, weather, court is connected to this because the Scorpio energy of Mercury, late degree Scorpio trine to Neptune in Pisces. It can be the judgment on a court case coming in, and Neptune would be the ideal situation or something that we had to adjust to get to the decision. And then the moon square Chiron in Aries is also going to be a wounding associated with one person being in their masculine energy and their drive, their identity, their selfishness even, and the other one being in the nurturing, cocooning, protective mode. So we're going to have one person represent mom or feminine, the other one masculine child, and they're going to be at odds with each other, and there is potentially wounding on Saturday. Sunday, Venus in Scorpio is sextiling Pluto in Capricorn, moon in Cancer sextiles Uranus in Taurus, moon in Cancer in conjunct Saturn in Aquarius, Mercury in Scorpio in conjunct Mars in Gemini. That's only half the day. Let's pick that apart. Starting early in the morning at 4:41 a.m. Eastern, we have a sextile of Venus to Pluto. So this is going to be late degree of the signs. So this is something that is really positive energy around committing to a structure that maybe it took us a while to really recognize was a solid foundation, but it's a good positive energy. It may even be a positive ending if there is something that is going away. Like I said, a court case is getting resolved. The moon in Cancer sextile to Uranus and Taurus. Cancer, Taurus are sextile in energy by sign. And so they are cooperative around stability and respect and solidity. They both want to know that things are stable and solid, although Cancer can be very remote or removed emotionally. Definitely having the energy of Uranus and Taurus, Taurus being the solid, taking time to really think things through energy. Uranus gives clarity of mind. So the moon in its emotion is going to be in cooperation with Uranus. So that is the change. That is something unusual. It's new and different. And it will be in positive aspect with the moon. In conjunct with Saturn to the moon and in conjunct with Mercury to Mars in Gemini. So we've got Saturn, Aquarius energy. Again, the inconjuncts are going to be in kind of the fickle energy associated more with Uranus or Mercury, because Mars is in Gemini, it answers to Mercury. Uranus is the ruling planet of Aquarius, which Saturn is in. So that will always be the unusual, the unexpected, the need to be in analysis and try to understand through our mental capacities what's going on. But they're both in conjunct to water signs or water energy, moon in Cancer and Mercury in Scorpio. And so it's going to be N degrees, and it's going to be about really understanding how things aren't necessarily the way we want intellectually, but the moods and emotions may call the final shot, especially with moon in Cancer in conjunct to Saturn in Aquarius. Saturn is direct now, so he is moving forward. And that means that before he gets into Pisces, he will not go retrograde until late next year into late summer, fall time. And so he is really enmeshing himself in the Aquarian energy, meaning setting up structures. This is making, well, there will be some time back in Aquarius, I believe, next year, but it'll be in degrees. So for now, Saturn in Aquarius is not going to see these same degrees for 28 years. So it is really coming to a conclusion, a structural agreement around technology, around science, around ideas, and changing up something for the new and different. And then we have the Mercury-Mars energy. And so Mercury is up in Scorpio, Mars is in Gemini. Deep, enmeshed attitudes around decisions that are cut and dry, according to Scorpio, in negative aspect to Mars in Gemini, which is something, there's a decision to be made, honestly, around commitment to more than one opportunity, more than one option. And that's going to come to a head pretty much this weekend because Mars is taking action, but it's retrograde. So there's definitely a need to really understand what the actions should be. And then Mercury is trying to give you a visceral understanding of your emotional attachment to the situation. And they're going to be constantly back and forth. Mercury in Scorpio wants to make a decision, but Mars in Gemini does not. Mars in Gemini won't make a decision till it goes direct. And that's not until, it doesn't go direct until January 10th. So the decision is going to be hovering around on some level. Indecision, basically, is what this is. Let's see, what else can I tell you?
Hey, this is Shelley. I wanted to give you a heads up that there are a lot of new art prints at ShelleyOverton.com. So go over there and check them out. ShelleyOverton.com. Thanks.
Shimmy, shimmy, yes, shimmy, aim, shimmy, aim. Give me the mic so I can take it away. Up on a natural charge, bon voyage. Yeah, from the home of the Dodger Brooklyn squad. 10 killer bees on the swarm. Rain on your dollar ass disco dome. You didn't even touch my skill. Gotta have one killer bee and he ain't gonna kill him. Shut that down, pass it all around. Lyrics get hard, quick cement to the ground. Any MC and any 52 states, I get psycho killer. Norman Bates, I produce a slam. I was like, damn, jump on stage.
Okay, so for the rest of Sunday, it's mostly trines between the moon, the sun. Moon trines Sun, Neptune, Mercury, and opposes Pluto. And because Sun is in Scorpio, Neptune's in Pisces, Mercury's in Scorpio, Pluto's in Capricorn, they're earth and water. And so trine energy means that they're in the same sign for the most part, unless it jumps a cusp in early degrees. But in this case, they are all in late energy of the sign. And so it is kind of a finishing off of an old story around emotionalism or sentimentality or desire. And then finishing the day and going overnight to the Monday 14th energy is the moon trine to Venus. And again, late degrees, moon trine Venus in late Scorpio is going to be a decision. We've got to make a decision. The moon is a deciding factor in horary astrology. Venus is in her last degrees before she finishes her time in Scorpio and moves on out of that energy. So it really is an end of a desire, the decision and culmination of making that decision on Sunday night to Monday. And then Monday, we have, like I said, that opposition to Pluto, and Pluto is major life change. Again, it goes into Aquarius without a stop between now and March 23rd. Pluto is going to be going direct through all the degrees of the sign. And there will be some that he will relive at the very end. Right now, he is at 26 degrees. So I think he only retrogrades to 28 next year, or 27. And so there's a good portion of where he's at right now for a full degree that won't feel this energy again. So it is making a decision. Venus is at 24. When she trines, she'll be probably at 26 on Monday. And then has that opposition. So there is, again, home and family opposing major life change. It's a deep connection, something that is a structural shift around desire, around decision. Monday, we have moon trine to Venus at 2:54 a.m., which is, of course, also overnight on the 13th for Eastern time zone. And moon trine Venus, which is a positive outcome for feminine energy and commitment. And then the moon finally aspects Jupiter in Pisces. So there is an expansion energy, but they are talking to each other. There is a deep sentimental, emotional upheaval going on because Jupiter is transformation. In late degrees of Pisces is very sentimental, and the moon is a decision, is the culmination of a story before it goes into Leo at 7:48 a.m. And then Leo is emotional around children. It is the idea of leadership and connectedness to friends and taking that playful side or a dramatic turn. Then we have Mercury sextile Pluto and in Capricorn at 9:27 p.m. on Monday. Mercury sextile Capricorn is going to be also a decision around commitment. And let me see, Mercury can also be schooling. It can be judgment around ideas, around thought processes and how you speak to someone. There are a lot of aspects this week. I don't really want to go aspect by aspect. So we're going to start talking. We'll finish off the week with a few aspects, and definitely Venus trine Jupiter on Tuesday, Moon trine Chiron right after that, in fire sign of Leo and Aries respectively at 9:11 a.m. on Tuesday is going to be a wounding around a romantic situation. And then a square to Uranus, the unexpected can happen 5:23 p.m. And that is love, that is romance. And then it will be a friction energy and something that may have to be adjusted to move forward. And some unusual solution could be found. We have an opposition of Moon to Saturn in 10:17 p.m. on Tuesday. So that is children. It is eccentricity and unexpected things around parenting and children. Then finally overnight at 10:09 p.m. Pacific, 1:09 a.m. on the 16th, Venus goes into Sagittarius. Venus moves out of Scorpio, out of the deep, emotive, decisive, black and white thinking that can be Scorpio, into Sagittarius, which is much more optimistic, much more lively and opportunistic and forward thinking, forward momentum. So this is really a lovely energy as we move into the Sagittarius season. Venus is love and desire. Sagittarius wants to keep going, can be the player energy of the zodiac. Venus in Sagittarius doesn't usually stick around a long time to develop deep emotional bonds. She really likes the idea that there's something new on the horizon, that there may be a desire that takes her far away or brings her in alignment with someone of foreign culture or foreign events coming in, money from foreign currencies or foreign energy around our money could come in. And then on Wednesday, we have the moon enter Virgo in the afternoon at 2:04 p.m. And so for the majority of the day until that time, and that's Eastern, we're going to have, I've got to put my glasses on. I really can't make it out. Excuse me. 8:04 p.m. The moon moves into Virgo. So in the evening, and up until then, we'll have the moon in Leo energy. And so it is finishing off a story, and it doesn't have to be a big story. It could be as much as I'm going out to dinner and I'm finishing dinner at 8 o'clock. So, you know, we're going to connect to a friend or a buddy over a nice meal and a glass of wine. And then Virgo says, I have to work in the morning and I better leave early. So the moon goes into Virgo, and then we have an immediate square to Venus in Sagittarius. So there's going to be the details of what's going on around the home, whether or not we can get stuff done. And then the energy of Venus and Sagittarius, who doesn't want to be beholden to what has to be done. Moon in Virgo is answering to Mercury. And until the next day, until Thursday, Mercury is still in the sign of Scorpio. So it could be a frustrating, emotional time on Wednesday as you're ready to move on, ready to embrace the new energy of Sagittarius, the fire energy with your mind, you know, so letting go some of the intensity of Scorpio and the constant back and forth and trying to understand and judge the situation over and over. And then when Mercury finally does break free, he goes into Sag at 3:42 a.m., 3:42 a.m. Eastern, 12:42 a.m. Pacific time. And that would be 8:42 a.m. England. Mercury enters Sagittarius. So Mercury isn't particularly fond of Sagittarius as an energy to express. What he does in Sagittarius is he sings and he walks and he gets in nature. So the way you get deeper into your own thought processes in Sagittarius is to be in nature, is to seek out higher spiritual understanding, to get into athletics, or to get into music. All of these things will help bring you closer to what your truth is. And Mercury in Sag is going to tell us the truth. It's going to drop it like a little bomb on our brains. And we are going to have all of those hidden secrets exposed come Mercury in Sagittarius next Thursday. It'll be an interesting, fun time. Ha ha ha, fun. The 17th, Thursday. And then Friday, I guess I should probably talk about Friday because I always release on Friday, and you know, it's kind of the day of the week that doesn't get as much attention. So Friday of next week, the 18th, the moon will be in Virgo, sun will be in Scorpio last degrees, sextile to Pluto at 26 in Capricorn in the afternoon, just after the moon in Virgo squares Mars in Gemini. So moon in Virgo answers to Mercury, Mars in Gemini answers to Mercury, and they are square. So interestingly, Mercury is in Sagittarius. Of course, it's not square by sign because both the moon and Mars are in late degrees, while Mercury is in early degrees of Sagittarius, having just gone into Sag the day before. So they are not really squaring. They're more of a late sextile energy. Although Mars is going to have the most difficulty because late Mercury Scorpio energy is not a happy position for Mars at late Gemini, and they're really at odds. They're very powerfully at odds. And I would say of any days for friction and for difficulty, a warlike energy, it would be Friday the 18th. Moon in Virgo trines Pluto in the evening at 11:26 p.m. Eastern. And so there is a detail-minded, list-taking, persnickety energy of getting your work done. Basically, homework has to be done for the weekend, and work has to be done for the weekend. And then beautiful energy, moon sextile sun in Scorpio, finishing up what we have learned for the week. It's going to be about relationships. It's going to be growth and healing with the moon in Virgo. Virgo wants to be of service, wants to help, and wants to heal. And the sun in Scorpio, about ready to go into Sagittarius, is really looking to finish off the story around deep emotionalism and is very ready to move on. And so the moon in Virgo is really helping sun in Scorpio make sense of all the emotionalism and try and ground the energy. So you will find that that is something that you're going to be doing next Friday in readiness for the weekend and the moon moving into Libra, which is partnering and balance once again and diplomacy. So that's what I have for you this week. So I hope you enjoy it. If you do enjoy it, like and subscribe below. Check out my websites that I have for astrology, for art, and we will talk to you again next week. Thanks a lot, friends. Take care.
To purchase my ebook, Learn Astrology, you can find it at angeliczodiac.com. Hi, this is Shelley. Thank you for joining us this week. To contact me for a private reading, go to angeliczodiac.com under the Readings tab. Background music was provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. Be sure to check back next week and subscribe through iTunes at AstroEnergy Astrology Show.